I've just had like a big hits blunt moment basically, because I realised for the first time, like really genuinely truly, that when you ask for something from the universe, like whether that's like you want romantic love, you want abundance, you want a career path, you know, or a specific career, it doesn't give it to you. What it does is it gives you challenges and opportunities that build you into the person that can hold that. I've honestly had like a full circle moment. So back in like maybe like September, I was like, you know what, I want a specific man. I want to have this relationship. Like I was ready to like finally start dating again basically, but I was like, this time I'm gonna be really specific about what I want. So I bought like this journal. Obviously it's gonna match the hair. I bought that journal, and in it I have just, I asked like ChatGPT, I was like, can you give me like a bunch of prompts that I can use and like things to mention that I can then sort of, are going to help me describe like my dream situation. And I've done not only my dream relationship, but my dream sort of like casual sort of situations as well, and also potentially like polyamory. That's something that I'm also open to. Anyway, I've literally written like so many pages describing that scenario. So I spent October like doing that. I just wrote that all down. I spent like several sessions out at cafes, just like writing down, really being specific about exactly what I wanted and like describing certain situations and how it would work, etc. So I set the intention. I was like, okay, that I put it out to the universe now, and the universe was like, bet. And over the past like 3 or 4 months, I've had so many experiences that I just feel like are elevating me to become the version of me that can hold what I've asked for. And I was somebody who previously before had shame around desire, shame around sex, shame around or just guilt around like expressing my desire. Like even the smallest things, like I literally couldn't even look people in the eye because I was thinking, oh my god, I don't want them to think that I'm like staring at them in like a weird way. I don't want to make them feel uncomfortable. I don't deserve to like observe people. You know, like men, they're like very good at sort of just like staring at people because they're, you know, in society they're taught to take up space. I wasn't good at taking up space because of my people pleaser sort of like upbringing and like those things around shame, around sex and around desire that I had instilled to me by parents, through school as being a woman. Even my ex was like, he had a lot of shame around sex and a lot of shame around that because of his like particular like religious upbringing. And anyway, like I said, I would really struggle to even like look people in the eye because I was like, oh, I don't want to take up space. Like I don't want them to think that I'm observing them. Like I don't want to make them feel uncomfortable. I don't want to like show my desire because that means that I'm needy and like desperate and ridiculous stuff like that. Anyway, now, and I will just explain how this happened, but now I'm literally like, I would just look at people without shame, like not in a creepy way. Obviously I respect people's boundaries, I don't want to make them feel uncomfortable, but I'll like hold eye contact very easily with potentially people that I find attractive. Like I'm just like intrigued. I look at them with curiosity, or I look at them with like, yeah, no, they're kind of hot. Like, do you know what I mean? Like guys in the gym, like if I feel like there's maybe like a vibe or I find somebody attractive, I'll be like, yeah. Like I saw this guy the other day at the gym, and I'm trying to check my lipstick, and he kind of like looked up at me and like kept eye contact, and I kind of like looked at him, I was like, and like raised a little eyebrow just to be like, yeah, no, I like you too. And I think it's just like embodying that sort of like sexual energy and like finally being in this place where like I can desire too, I can do that too. And I'm also in a space right now where like even on TikTok and even in this video, like I'm exuding like sexual energy. Like I talk about the fact that I'm interested in potentially exploring polyamory. You know, I've explained on my TikTok that my preference, and I'm more drawn to bi men because of the introspection and like bravery they would have to have in order to come out as bi, in order to, you know that about themselves. Just like signaling a lot more sort of like, no, I want to show my desire. And it's really interesting because in the comments there's like a lot of men who obviously have a problem with that, because in society we're taught that women aren't allowed to have desire. Like we're allowed to be desired and we're allowed to be sort of like you know, I think it's we're allowed to like look pretty, but the moment that we know that we look pretty and we tell people that we look pretty, or we think that we are, we're like cocky in some way, or that we express our desire, like me expressing my desire for bi men, generally speaking, or like me expressing my desire for like potentially polyamory, having like 2 partners. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's the right phrasing, but just like that curiosity and desire and like expressing that more and more. Like I'm talking, like I literally even posted a video today and it was like, there was this guy, you know, the planking trend, but like a bunch of guys, not a bunch, but like several creators are like doing a plank and like holding it and like they're moaning and groaning and like a lot of women are like thirsting over it. I just like posted it on my story and was like, definitely gonna be like, you know, coming to this later, like BRB. Because I'm just like finally expressing like my true desire, like my, like letting my desire come out rather than being embarrassed about it. And like I'm finally getting back into like more sort of like content where I'm like showing like a little sexy pose, or like, do you know what I mean, being a bit more, even like that little hair flick, like I'm so in my desire right now. And I genuinely think it's because like of these specific challenges that I've experienced. So the first thing that kind of happened was obviously I wrote those intentions and the universe was like, right, fine, okay, what are we gonna do? And I found the Quinn app, which is like a erotic audio Quinn. Why am I saying it like that? It's an erotic audio app. And the kind of caliber of guy that I am interested in is somebody who's emotionally intelligent, like critical thinker. You know, I think there's a certain type of person that would be good at dirty talk, which is obviously what happens in erotic audio. There's a certain caliber of guy that is gonna have to, you know, in order to be good at it, you have to be emotionally intelligent. You have to be attuned to like emotions and like understand pacing and what is like a turn on. You know, it's a skill. It's not something you're kind of like, you develop it through most likely emotional intelligence. And you know, there's obviously certain parts in certain audios where, for example, like one of my favorite creators, he uses quite like big words and it's like, oh, my demisexual brain is like going off. Or like, so there's somebody else who like mentions sort of societal, sociological concepts and I'm like, oh, like, you know, you can tell that he fucking reads. Like you can tell that he's like into politics. Anyway, so I got on this app and I was like, not only just that, like finding like creators who are not only sexy in terms of like their voice and stuff, but also like clearly represent the type of caliber of guy that I'm going for. It's been so rewarding for me because when I first listened to the audios I was like, fucking hell, like this will never happen, like I will never experience like men in this way because there's not that many men that are this emotionally intelligent, like this aware, like this considerate of women. By listening to these audios I've like conditioned my brain and my nervous system to become accustomed to a type of caliber of man that holds these qualities. And like, yeah, I can always say, oh yeah, but they're actors and so on. Yeah, but okay, but so I still want that kind of caliber of guy. I still want somebody who's intelligent, emotionally intelligent in general, like is considerate, compassionate, even in the context of acting. And I know this is true because, for example, somebody made a post about heated rivalry, and by watching something like heated rivalry, where the situation is so gorgeous and it's so lovely, and like there's a lot of a sort of emotional intelligence, communication, and you know it's a really nice situation. It's like helping your brain filter that kind of thing out in your own life. Like when you feel like positive emotions when watching it, even on repeat, you're like programming your brain to expect that in your reality. So your reality then filters out anything that isn't that. When you're kind of like constantly being faced with, or you're putting yourself in a position where you're seeing sort of like a representation and an illustration of what you're looking for, whether it's through audios or through something like heated rivalry or like, you know, film in general, you're like training your brain to expect that. You're training your brain to like see that as like not on a pedestal, because I think when I first started listening to these audios I was like, that's never going to happen. Like I kind of pedestalized this kind of like caliber of man, and or like the illustration of that kind of man, and but now I listen to it and I'm just like, I expect that now. And like I don't, on social media sometimes I would sort of like again put some of these like really sexy guys that I found really attractive like on a pedestal. I'm like, oh, maybe part of me thinks that maybe I'd never be able to get somebody like that or like attract somebody like that. Now that's ridiculous to me. I'm like, what? Like now that I've done the work in the past few months, of like getting my nervous system accustomed to that kind of caliber of guy, I'm like genuinely enjoying the content a lot more, because I'm like, yeah, I'm excited for my future because guys like this that I find attractive exist and they want me too. And I've noticed it even in my own life, like I said, going to the gym. Like, by the way, I'm in a place right now in my life, like I'm in a really small town, or there's nobody my age that's hot, realistically. There are very few situations where I get those interactions, but I'm finding myself being like more magnetic and like drawing people in without even trying, like I said, at the gym or in coffee shops or like on the street. Like I'm just drawing eyes in because I'm my body and my brain and my nervous system is like only seeing the kind of people that I want to attract now. That I've raised my kind of expectations because I've been listening to this sort of like media. And I love this because the universe has like put Quinn into my life and put like heated rivalry into our lives. Do you know what I mean? To almost like, since I set that intention in my journal, it was like, right, cool, okay, so I'm going to put these situations in your life where you are going to, it's going to force you to level up. It's going to force you to change the way you look at yourself. It's going to force you to improve your self-image, and this image of like, no, you can actually like receive this kind of love. It's somatic. It's not this sort of like intellectual thing. Intellectually I always knew, I deserve love, I deserve great love, and I deserve somebody that I find really fucking hot and really fit, but my body didn't believe it. But somatically now that I've like been consuming this kind of media and getting my nervous system used to this kind of caliber of man, and this kind of caliber of relationship, the one that I literally fucking wrote down, like from an intellectual place, is now a somatic thing. It's like my body believes it, like I expect it. And I've had a situation recently where like this guy who I know has probably had like a crush on me for a while, we like hung out, and it was lovely because it was lovely because I was like wearing no makeup. I was like in like joggers and like I was wearing like loungewear. He was like complimenting me on like who I am as a person. Like I was basically, the entire time we hung out, like I was like talking about how frustrated I am with patriarchy and like jarring men in general and stuff like that. And he just like wanted to listen. Like he likes those things about me. Like on my social media, I'm being more and more authentic, being more and more sort of like signaling like the fact that I don't tolerate bullshit. I can be like a bit like blunt and rude sometimes. And the kind of men that I'm drawing in are just like perfectly like my type, like the exact kind of men that I really like. And I don't need to pretend to be somebody else in order to get them. Like this situation with this guy, even though it was fleeting, like nothing happened, like it was just like a nice situation to be like desired, and a nice situation to be like desired. Even when I have this limiting belief sometimes that like, oh, men maybe won't, not as many men will like me, I won't be as desirable because I have strong opinions, because I'm critical of patriarchy, because I'm like, I don't tolerate bullshit. I actually don't. I can imagine I'm quite intimidating for some men, and yet that wasn't the case for him, and I was still desired. And it just, again, it's like these situations is like recalibrating my brain and like proving to me that I am desirable and I am desired as myself, as my authentic self, as my kind of like most passionate, outrageous, and like, yeah, this version of myself that I think that I was taught were like I should feel shame around, or I should feel like a type of way about. All of it's being unraveled. Like that's what the universe wants for me. It's giving me experiences that are unraveling that limiting belief of my conditioning, that is like, you should feel shame around your personality, you should feel shame around your like directness and your enthusiasm and your opinions and like your passion and your justice sensitivity. You should feel shame around that. And I'm having all these experiences that are proving to me that I'm so fucking desirable with those things. Do you know what I mean? I don't need to be anything else, and it's healing me inwardly, not just like intellectually, because I know how ridiculous it is. Like I don't want a man who finds those things off-putting anyway. I wouldn't want to be around that intellectually. But this was like a somatic thing. It's giving me experiences that are proving to me that I'm desirable and wanted as just like myself, as it authentically comes. It's like it's rewiring my fucking brain. Okay, so I just had to go to 3 hours of musical theatre. I was like panicking towards the end of the video. You could like see me looking like, oh, what's happening? Anyway, that's why everything's changed. But really what I was just trying to like put across is that there was, what I asked the universe for, it gave me, not through like actual people, or you know, it didn't give me a specific person once I asked for it. What it did is it gave me experiences and challenges that would make me a vibrational match to what I was asking for. And beforehand I was not a vibrational match to what I was asking for. Do you know what I mean? Like I would kind of like, yeah, like I said, like feel discomfort around showing my desire. I would feel discomfort around like expressing myself, using my voice. Like it's all these people pleaser tendencies that I developed as a kid, and that, you know, even though intellectually you can know these things, you know, like I'm cute, I'm pretty, I'm desired, all that stuff, it's really just the experiences that you have that solidify that. And I saw a therapist recently sort of explain this. Like there's only so much you can kind of do in like theory, as it were. Like you can do all the intellectual stuff, you can really like build up your self-esteem, build up your self-image, you know, do all the journaling, do all this stuff, but actually what does the rewiring is those experiences, and those are the experiences that universe will give you when you set the intention. I don't know, I feel like when we talk about manifestation we often think, you know, oh, we're asking for a specific thing that is, and then, you know, the universe is going to give it to us once we kind of like set the intention and leave it. No, what it does is like you set the intention and then it makes you give it makes you the person that is a vibrational match to those things, and that could come, you know, come through it as challenges. And even as I was kind of like mentioning about like Quinn, the app, like there were times when I would get like triggered listening to like certain audios, and it was like an opportunity for me to like work through things. I had a experience recently where I got really triggered, like somebody said something to me and it would like trigger something in my head of like not feeling desired, not feeling like that I guess just this rejection sensitivity that I think obviously being paired with ADHD, but also just like my upbringing meant that I was just really hypersensitive to like just not feeling like wanted, and that was something that really bothered me. It's so weird to say now because I just don't even feel that. Like I'm just like, I don't care if like somebody, like genuinely somatically, not just like intellectually, like my body's just like, okay, like if somebody didn't want me. And there's like instances where I'll like say if I fancy somebody, like I'll put feelers out there, like maybe it would be a look, maybe it would be like a comment, maybe it would be like a glance, maybe it would be like a message or something. Do you know what I mean? Like I'll put out feelers, or even get like somebody to kind of like put the word in for me, like a friend or something. And it's like I'm no longer scared of like the reaction of it being like, oh no, they're not interested, or like, oh no, they don't care, because I'm like still, I'm like putting my desire first. And I think like for men this is like so weird probably to like listen to, because it's like, well yeah, of course I put my desire forward, like of course I like show interest, or like I, you know, I want to take up space by like looking at women that I find attractive, or just like whatever. I like, that's just not my experience. Like I felt guilty for like showing my desire because of like the upbringing that I've had. There's so much shame around expressing that part of me. And also I'm like quite like a, you know, like a sexual person, like erotically charged individual. Like I don't know, I that's just part of my personality. Like do you know what I mean? So it's just like unlearning that shame and having these experiences that rewire that that inner, like your body basically. Like it's you can have all these intellectual thoughts and like understand it intellectually, but if your body doesn't agree, or your body or your nervous system isn't aligned with that, it doesn't matter. Like you can have like all the confidence in the world, but it's the somatic part of you, and like those experiences that kind of make you question things, like, or rewire things. Like I said, with this person that I kind of like hung out with recently, it was like so lovely because I just, yeah, like I said, like no makeup, like the rawest version of me, like completely just like being myself. And I just, and I was still desired, like I was still loved. And I think that's not an experience that I've often had, like often with like previous partners, because, you know, because I tended to attract, tended to, I don't know if that's the right phrasing. I tended to attract like people that relied on those people pleaser tendencies, or relied on like my lack of boundaries and lack of like ability to advocate for myself. And so when I would then advocate for myself or stand up for myself, they would immediately kind of like find that unattractive because they preferred somebody who basically shut the fuck up. But I made it about me. I thought maybe there's something wrong with me, or there's something wrong with like the fact that I stand up for myself. And I basically like programmed, or my mind was programmed to believe that every time I spoke up, every time I advocate for myself, I would experience like pain and emotional discomfort and pain. I get rejected, like people wouldn't want me anymore. And so like for me to have experiences where like I, in fact, not only just like don't get rejected or like don't get dismissed when I stand up for myself because of like their own shit because they're insecure, um, to in fact have experiences where I'm celebrated for having boundaries and you know, being myself, being opinionated, being this like confident individual that like says what they think is just like so great for my nervous system because it's like, oh shit, that does exist. And kind of like partnered and in tandem with, you know, having these experiences, whether it's just like whether it's like media or not, you know, having this illustration of like my perfect guy or like somebody who I'd be attracted to in reality, having that illustrated via audios, via TV, and films is just like so exciting because it's like your brain is like obviously experiencing these emotions and then uses that to then think, okay, this is like what I want now. Like it becomes your new baseline. You're no longer putting it on like a pedestal. It's like this is your new baseline of like, this is what I expect, this is what, and I know it's out there. Oh, what the hell? Hang on. Oh, that's not gonna look cute. Oh my god, this video is like actual shambles, but I quite like this angle. She looks cute. So yeah, it's just basically realizing and recognizing that there was a lot of experiences that needed to be had that would rewire like my internal feeling, my like actual body, and like instead of it bracing for pain or bracing for emotional discomfort when I would like be myself, instead I had these experiences where that didn't happen. So it's like rewiring my body and rewiring my brain to anticipate like people having positive kind of reactions and responses to me literally just being myself. Anyway, the point is that the universe gives you these challenges, gives you these experiences so that it gets you accustomed, so that it forces you to grow, so that it forces you to be introspective. Like there was one particular thing in terms of like sex that I had like a lot of shame around, and it's like this got triggered by I don't even know what it got triggered by, perhaps like something that somebody had said or like something in the media or something on social media. And again, I had to spend like several days like really working through that, and it was lovely because it was like, I know this is just the universe, you know, trying to help me work through this particular thing, trying to help me work through this like particular difficulty, so that then I can attract, you know, the person that I've written down, that I've like just said that I want to attract. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what it does, and I love that about the universe. Like it's like Joe Dispenza says, isn't it? It's like if you want something, become it. I literally will never forget that phrase. Like if you want something, become it. If you want like a gorgeous love, become that gorgeous love. Like there was also part of me that was like holding back, do you know what I mean? Like part of me I feel like held back when it came to like being upfront about my emotions because I was like, you know, what if I get hurt or whatever. And recently I've just been like really forward with how I feel and like being direct and like setting boundaries and saying how I really feel. And like that's the kind of like person I want to attract. I want to attract somebody who doesn't take themselves seriously, who is a bit cheeky, who is like a bit goofy sometimes. That's me. That's me. And like that's what the universe is encouraging me to do, is to embrace those parts of me and not feel shame around those parts and not see it as embarrassing, seeing it as endearing, you know, challenging me in situations like whether it's a friendship or like men or whatever, just challenging me to kind of like see those parts of me as like endearing rather than something to feel shame around, like I was conditioned to feel shame around. But anyway, I feel like this video is like all over the place, and like well done if you've made it this far. Like that was chaotic. As usual, the video is sponsored by my People Pleaser to Powerhouse course. So if you're interested in a 4-week transformation where you go from sort of this person who can't advocate for themselves, you know, you're burnt out, you're struggling to put your needs first, you struggle to say no, you feel like even in this situation you just can't get what you want because your body is like maybe sensitive to rejection or sensitive to or has these like limiting beliefs. You're gonna go from that to being so fucking magnetic, going from chasing to attracting, you know, going from martyr to magnetic, going from somebody who was masking all the time to unmasking and being your true authentic self, whether that's in work, whether that's in business, whether that's in your personal relationships. There's going to be boundary scripts and how to kind of like navigate conversations when standing up for yourself. It's got it all. So if you're interested in any of those things, definitely go and check it out in the link below. Like I've gone through this transformation myself. Like it's changed my life. Like, this is like an example of that transformation. But anyway, with that, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Comment down below your experiences of like when you've set an intention and then the universe has kind of responded with challenges. I really want to know. And with that, I will see you in my next video. Bye.